Hi, this is Barb, Random Crafty Axe. In the last video, I told you I would continue to try to find ways to demonstrate how to decorate the outside of your cards and different ways you could work with embellishments. What we're going to do today involves die cutting. This is what dies look like. It's not all of them because I've already got them set up and ready to go. But this is a set of dies that came from Tailored Expressions. You can find sets of dies all kinds of places, okay? I just happen to have this set and they're fairly simple, so that's what we're going to work with today. So let's get started. Set this out of the way. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is set the dies up to be cut. And I'm going to show you the platform first. This is my mint tape. It's a low tack tape, and I use it to hold the metal pieces on the platform. Okay? I have a Sizzix, so this is the standard platform. This is the shim. This is the magic mat. And this is the top. Okay? This is referred to as a sandwich. Now, I'm not going to go into a lot of detail about this because there are a lot of videos out there on how to do this. Now I have to stand up to make sure I get this lined up. Okay? This is the die cutting machine. The one I have is manual. They come in a variety of sizes. This is the medium size. I like it because it allows me to do multiple pieces at a time, and it fits the 8.5 by 11 paper cut in half. Not that that makes that much difference, but they make some that are really narrow, and I have one that's really big that I don't typically use. They also make some that are kind of automatic, but this one you have to crank. So the rollers press down on the dies and press them into the paper. Most of the time it cuts all the way through with one pass, but I always give it two just in case. Okay. Okay, I'm going to set this out of the way. Bring this back over. Now, something I always do when I'm managing this is I have these little cover things. I clip them off of a box that my husband had out in the work shed. Any kind of little dish will do, just so that as you begin to take these apart, you don't lose all your little pieces. Okay? So see how I lifted that up. It had cut through the paper. When you're using this low tack tape, you can hang on to it because it'll work again. I just kind of use my fingernail. There are tools you can get. Okay, that one, you notice, came apart. I also keep real close track of my dies as I take them apart. Some of them, in some of these die sets, the dies are really tiny. Okay, notice on this one how it stayed in. Here's my magic tool I use. I use a pin and stick it through that little hole, and that usually pushes it out far enough. That I can get a hold of it. Sometimes not. Thing you can do is use your low tack tape. This would do this to me since I'm filming. There we go. Usually not quite this stubborn. Okay, you have to ease it out so that you don't tear it. Okay, hopefully these will be a little easier. So some of the die sets have really intricate scenes, multiple pieces that you can put together. Particularly, there are some sets that have like half a dozen pieces, and you put them together and you have a little animal or some kind of a scene or a piece of furniture. And what you get this way is an embellishment that has some texture to it, and that can look really nice on the front of a card. Now, you can't do this without one of the machines. And of course, you can use these over and over again. It's not like they wear out. If it gets to where they're not cutting through the paper, it can be a couple of things. It can be that your paper is too heavy. It could be that your dies, I've cut, like run them through and cut them out of wax paper. Okay. Now in this case, these are little bits, all right? These are tiny little bits, and they're the ones you really want to be careful with. And I just stick those on the top of my machine so that I can use them later. And these are the kind of things you really want to be careful with, because there is nothing more annoying than getting your flower all put together and finding out that you don't have the little piece that goes in the middle. Okay. All right. So we're going to set those aside. This is also a great way to use your scraps. Notice all of these were pieces that were left over from when I had done some cards. Usually I have the magnetic plate right next to me so I can put them up as I go, but I'm just going to set those aside right now. Okay, now we're going to start building our scene for the front of the card, using this one as an example. I hope that's in frame. Okay, I'm going to use some blue for the top and some green for the bottom. Now I could just put this right on the white and not worry about it, but oh, and here's the other thing about this. This is from a 12 by 12 paper pack, and it had all these cut parts that I wasn't going to use. So I just flipped that 12 by 12 over and cut these into 3 3/4 by 3 3/4 by 5. Notice me looking at my chart. Okay. Now, when you're ink, this is referred to as ink blending, I believe. And notice that I start off of the side of the card and rub towards the center, and that's to avoid getting like a, it makes the oval. Okay. And this makes it look kind of like grass. I'm going to come up about that far. I want some of it to look a little darker than others, so I just keep going in and putting in a little more ink. Okay. My brushes need cleaning. That was a vivid chartreuse. I just grabbed it because it was green. Okay, and now I come down this way, and I like to go kind of heavy around the outside so that it kind of creates a little bit of a border. It's raining here. I don't know if you can, I've got a new microphone. I don't know if it'll pick up the rain on the roof here in my she shed. Okay. could have come up a little more and rounded it in the center, and it would have made it look a little more like a hill. All right, so let's set this aside. Now we're going to start putting our flowers together. So I need my ink. These are reversible tweezers. Notice that they're closed when I'm not squeezing and open when I am. And that makes it really easy to pick something up and move around. Okay, so this, I'm gonna put this big one here, if I can get this to cooperate. Put this big one in the middle. Make sure I get it right side up. Look how cute that is. Okay, and then a little one. And you don't have to have reversible tweezers, but I will say that they are one of the tools that I've bought that I actually tend to use all the time. Just because the smaller the bits you work with, the better it is. For me, anyway. Okay. This flower took me a while to figure out that it goes this way. Notice how the leaves are coming, the petals are coming down. All right, put this on like this. Okay. All right, so I have these two big pieces of green. So I'm gonna probably trim some of the leaves off. And then I have these. Okay, it looks like I cut 3 of these. That's okay. Okay. Since they're the same color flower, I kind of feel like the leaves should be the same. Okay. Now I could cut that off, but the flower is going to be over the top of it, so it doesn't really matter to me. All right. Figure out what we're going to do there in just a second. I get these green things at the Dollar Tree for $1.25. Okay, I'm gonna line that trip up right there. And I think you could probably do this with, I think I'll go ahead and leave that extra leaf off. This is one of those times where you might want to cut that off. I'm going to leave it on. Okay. All right. So now we just kind of fiddle with this and see how we want to place it. Sometimes if I cut the flowers so that they all kind of look the same, I'll make a bouquet. But in this case, I want to set them like they're growing in a garden. Okay. Placing your embellishments on the front of the card can, I've seen some people just fiddle with that for ages, and they get very picky about where they want them. And I find that if I spend too much time at that, what ends up happening is it just makes it more and more complicated. And so I just start gluing stuff down, typically. Okay, so I tilted that one so that it looks like they're growing. So the stem is straight. Okay. The green I used here is slightly different. Kind of like when you look out in the garden and all the leaves aren't exactly the same shade of green. That mostly because okay, you can always add just a dab of glue and underneath that if you need to. Okay, so I think I'm going to make these have a happy days like I did the other. All right, slide that out of the way. And then I'm going to center this on top of this scalloped edge. That is a 4 by 5 1/4. I have all that on a chart. I make no attempt to actually remember it. Okay. And then sometimes some people like to leave them kind of loose. I worry more about them, like something getting caught underneath them when they're sliding in and out of the envelope. All right, and this is my A2 size card. And I center that on here. And isn't that adorable? How pretty. Okay, this was the sample card I made ahead of time just to make sure I could get everything to do the way I wanted it to do. But we have 2 cards here out of one piece of 8.5 by 11 paper, 110-pound white. All right, so 2 cards done. And again, die cutting. Tailored Expressions is one of the companies that's out there that sells dies. But again, if you just go over on Amazon or actually go into Google and search for die sets, you'll like I said, you'll find them all over the place. There are some that are you can buy on the cheap, and the only thing I will say about those is sometimes they don't cut quite as well. But it's kind of the luck of the draw. And when you buy them, I would really suggest that you think about what kind of images you feel like you'd like to put on your cards. And if you're going to buy them, buy those first. Take a look at Sizzix as one of the companies out there that makes the die cutting machines. And again, there are multiple companies that make them and lots of videos out there on how to do this. Thank you very much for being here, and we'll just keep moving on and trying different ways to embellish the front of the cards.